Hello guys, this is Vidas,
And Ausra.
and we're starting episode 33 of Ask Vidas and Ausra podcast. And today's question was sent by Paulus, and he asks, how can I read complex modern music easier? You see the situation, Ausra, you remember he is preparing for a recital in Vilnius Cathedral, and he's playing my Opus 39 festive processional, and there are a lot of complex notes and rhythms there, and he's struggling to read those notes and rhythms correctly. So, what would you suggest for him to do first?
Well, first of all, I think he must analyze how that piece is put together, how it's composed. Because if you will find a key from the composition, how it was set up, I think you will be able to learn it easier. Because if you would just sight read it, it might not make a sense for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you have to basically deconstruct the piece, right?
Sure.
And think about how the piece was put together before, right, in my mind.
Yes.
So, of course, it's not easy because he's not the composer, right? He has to look deep into what's happening into the music. Do you think that finding out the different modes would help him?
Sure, I think so. If it's a modal piece,
Mm-hmm.
if it's based on a mode, then definitely it would help.
This piece has lots of improvisatory rhythms because it was improvised first and then it written down, and it's sometimes difficult to play those syncopations and complex ties and dotted notes.
Well, for the rhythm, there is only one way to learn it correctly. You must count. You must count. Just take the smallest rhythmic value, and you must count in those values.
Mm-hmm. And that would help, right?
Yes, that would help. You wouldn't have to do it for the rest of your life. Only while you are learning this piece.
Mm-hmm. So probably this applies not only for this particular composition, but to many other modern pieces,
Sure.
right?
Sure, definitely.
That people are playing regardless of nationality or style.
Because I think, in my opinion, that most of modern music has sort of very mathematical approach to composing it. And if you will crack that formula down, it will be easy to learn, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the hardest thing is to find what that formula is.
Right. You have to think deep into the chordal structure, right, and keys, and sometimes those difficult looking accidentals and rhythms only mean that there is a hidden key to this,
Sure, yes.
to unlocking this process, right? Mm-hmm. And do you think that that this doing this just once is enough, or you have to repeat this process over and over again?
I think you have to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes even, to write in the score, what the key, for example, or what the mode in which key is in that particular episode.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you remember, we are learning now that piece written by you also, which you wrote originally for flute and organ, and now we are doing it with organ duo.
Oh, again, it's
Yes.
by me. So it seems that the music written by me is complicated to play for other people.
Well, but that piece is not that complicated. You just have to, to switch to a different key very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's good that, sometimes I write the number of accidentals next to the clef of that episode. And in that episode how many accidentals there are right away.
Yes, it's very helpful.
But sometimes I don't write it. Sometimes I write it next to the notes.
But you know, if it's easier for you, for example, to keep in mind that, for example, this episode has like 3 sharps and they are, you know, not added at the clef, you can do it yourself. I mean, you know, on the top of maybe that line, that score, you know, you just write 3 sharps or 4 flats and so on and so forth.
Right. But you have to do this yourself then.
Yes. But I think the best thing about playing modern music, you know, even if you will not play it like, you know, 100% as it is written, nobody will notice it. I'm quite sure. So don't panic if you will, you know, hit a few wrong notes.
By the way, what was the last challenging piece for you from the modern period that you cracked down and really learned to play? But it was difficult for you.
Well,
at
actually,
first.
this, you know, this piece by you know, for 4 hands, that wasn't so easy at the beginning. So I had to crack it down.
And before that?
Well, let me think. I think, you know, probably learning Messiaen pieces by Messiaen.
Messiaen, yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people love Messiaen, and it seems like equal number of people hate Messiaen because of
Well, you know, with Messiaen is sort of strange thing. The better I know, you know, his compositions, how we were composed about in general, you know, I studied his compositional techniques quite, you know, a lot and in depth. The less I like actually his compositions. I don't know why, especially those late ones, including piano, both piano and organ. And if I would have to choose, I probably would choose his earlier pieces, like Nativite.
Right. Do you remember you played once Laudes by Petr Ebenček, composer?
Yes.
Was it challenging for you to learn it?
Well, actually, not as much as I expected at first, because in Lithuania we have this, you know, big, I don't know, big thing about playing Eben's Laudes. It seems like, you know, because Professor Degrees played it once, I mean, not once, but he started actually playing this cycle. And, you know, it seemed like a very big deal, but after learning it myself, I didn't find it so hard, actually. Because it's also very, you know, very sort of mathematical piece too. Of course, rhythms gives problem, you know.
But you applied your own advice.
Sure, yes.
Right?
Yes. And, you know, because Piotr Eben, he played organ himself, he knew the instrument very well, so it fits to your hand and to your feet. So it's not like some crazy, you know, stuff that you are trying to adapt to the organ. It's actually all very natural.
Yes, it's quite musically easy to guess what's happening, and once you know the system, right? Sometimes those polytonal things are difficult to guess, but they are easy to decipher, I think.
Yes. I think the rhythm is probably the most difficult problem in that organ cycle.
Well, how about music by Jean Alain? Was difficult for you?
Well, no, actually,
Like
no.
the second fantasy.
No, it wasn't difficult.
Although it's not that easy to play at
Yes,
first.
it's not that easy, but actually, you know, it's manageable. Actually, and you know, the most interesting thing, you know, that now I took that second fantasy after, you know, many years of playing it. No, I think the last time I played it was, you know, way back in the Omaha Cathedral, where I played, you know, for a master class for Olivier Latry, actually. And now I, you know, picked it up, and I saw that I almost can play it, you know, in the right tempo, and it fits hands very nicely.
You practiced this piece so many times at that times that even myself, when I tried to sight read this piece a few days ago, it seems like this coming back to me too.
Yes, and overall, I think, you know, Jean Alain is one of my most favorite French composers. I, just feel so sorry that his life was so short.
Right. Second World War.
Yes, and ended so abruptly and so tragically. So I guess he would have been such a great composer. Definitely not less famous and good as Messiaen.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So I hope people can now apply your tips and really decipher the piece first before practicing any organ piece, but specifically challenging, complex, modern music, right?
Sure.
So guys, please send us more questions. We're really happy to help you grow. And the best way to do this is through our newsletter. If you subscribe to our blog at organduo.lt, you enter your name and email address and you become our subscribers. You read our blog and you can really then communicate with us much easier and send us your questions, and we will be happy to discuss them during the show. And then of course tell us about the sound quality. It's interesting. We switched recently purchased a new double lapel microphone, and we're sitting in our living room right now and chatting, and two lapel microphones are plugged into one smartphone, and I hope the sound quality is okay for you. So we're sort of testing. Please give us your feedback too. Wonderful. This was Vidas.
And Ausra,
And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.